Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie Sund and today we are going to talk about Philip Hineline. Philip Hineline is an applied behavior analysis and teacher extraordinaire. He has won a few different awards for his teaching strategies in ABA, as well as helped co-author a curriculum for an interdisciplinary master's program at Temple University. His education accomplishments to get where he is today is he started off with his Bachelor of Arts degree at Hamilton College and then went on to Harvard University to finish up his PhD. He was a researcher for a while at Walter Reed Army Institute and then went on to Temple University, where he is currently a researcher as well as a professor. His authored works, which I have the articles that I utilized in my last few slides, focus on terminology and of his theory on avoidance through radical behaviorism. So when he focuses on terminology, his articles focus on common terms like the word positive or inner and private, and how they relate to psychology as well as how they relate to regular everyday life, and how even amongst different ABAs and researchers, they're using these terminology and depicting them to be something different, but once you break down the terms and get into the real nitty-gritty of it, the terminology essentially means the same thing. So it doesn't matter if you are a mentalist or a behaviorist. In the end, Hineline helps us see that our terminology, we may be using a different word or using a specific term in a different way, but it all breaks down to the same thing. In avoidance, his experimentation, Hineline utilized a two-factor process where he combined Sigmund's avoidance theory and Pavlov's conditioned behavior theories and experimentation and put them together, and he would actually utilize animals in cages, and they would shock the cage, and instead of providing a shock to promote behavior, as in the animal reacting, he would actually shock the cage to diminish a behavior. So if the animal would not provide an over-exaggerated response and continue with their behavior, then he would stop shocking them. So it would be avoiding that behavior. So his research and beliefs, again, he was a Skinnerian, so in his PhD program at Harvard, they had what was called the Pigeon Lab. The Pigeon Lab is where their class could get together and discuss their research and experimentations and basically do their studies. Now, Skinner, not only was he a mentor for Hineline, but Hineline was actually able to study under Skinner at Harvard, and during his final examination, Skinner actually approached Hineline while he was waiting for his turn to be evaluated, and they got to discussing different theories and possible future experimentations and how to fine-tune them, and then went on to Skinner being one of the board members that did Hineline's review and evaluation. And then again, his research focuses on avoidance, and in newer studies, Hineline has switched gears a little bit to focus on working with autistic children. So my interview questions, first one being, what first interested you in applied behavior and analysis, and is there any area of study that you almost pursued instead? we all have a history, so I'm just wondering, I know when I started looking into ABA, that wasn't my main focus, forensic psychology was. So I wanted to know if there was something else that Philip Hineline possibly could have been doing instead of adding to our world of ABA. The second question is, knowing what we know about environmental effects and conditioned behaviors, do you think that had you not met B.F. Skinner, would you have had views that differed more from his? So in the bottom, we have Skinner with his pigeons doing experimentation. And in the top, we have Mr. Hineline at Temple University. And like I said, Hineline B.F. Skinner mentored Hineline, and Hineline got a lot of his views and interpretations and ideas for experimentation from Skinner. So had he had not met him, would that be different today? The third question is, what was the influence and thought process behind your very first experiment? So his experimentation, like I said, was a two-factor process, and it started off with Pavlov and Sigmund for avoidance. So was it that he wanted to combine these two, or really what was just the thought process behind them? The next question is, many of your authored works are controversial to other applied behavior analysts and were written to point out the flaws in their theories. Did you find this affected how others viewed you professionally in any way? So I'm sure researchers don't like being told that they're wrong, or that there's going to be views against theirs because they have spent all this time putting work into proving their theories. So for Hineline to come in and automatically start breaking down other analysts' work, other researchers' work, did this create any problems with him in the professional world? My last interview question is, what advice would you give to upcoming generation of applied behavior analysts? So Hineline was lucky enough to study under and discuss his thoughts, theories with his mentor, B.F. Skinner. So what can we use as a takeaway, and is there any focuses for anything that he may have done differently or focused on through applied behavior analysis as he went through the motions? And especially being a teacher today, I'm sure he has a lot of advice to give this upcoming generation. So Philip Hineline's importance to ABA, like I said before, language controversies, so really pointing out that terminology and the importance that there is to recognize that there is always going to be different terminology used, so it's really important to understand the different concepts and terminology in ABA so that you can understand the works of others and how their terminology and their views may differ, but in the end, we're all working towards the same thing, which is behavior. He was also the former president of the Association for Behavior Analysis International Research Organization, which is important to me specifically because I don't have a focus for the background in autism. I want to do evaluations for behavior with military personnel. So working in that community, the ABAI really focuses on that behavior aspect instead of specifically the autism spectrum. And then, again, he's an award-winning teacher for ABA, so he's obviously doing something right. He's continuing to be an influence and part of the upbringing of future ABAs studying this field. for their growth in knowledge and the way they go about their research. So again, these are some of the articles that I used to do this presentation. I hope you enjoyed Philip Hineline. Thank you.